I still remember that day like yesterday. The hospital was very noisy. Babies were crying, nurses were shouting, and one man was even arguing with the wall fan because it refused to blow him. I was sitting at the reception, waiting to see the doctor for my malaria, when the whole drama started. It began with Mama Titi, the cleaner. She came running into the hall, shouting, "Lizard. Lizard that can talk." We all laughed because we thought she was joking. How can a lizard talk? But her face looked very serious. She was sweating like someone who just fought with thunder. Everybody stood up, even the patients with drips in their hands. One man carried his drip stand like a spear. The matron came out and asked, "What is this noise?" Mama Titi pointed at a corner and said, "That lizard told me to clean the toilet well." We all rushed to see. There was a small brown lizard sitting near the mop bucket, very calm like it was part of the hospital staff. Someone said, "Maybe she just heard voices." Another person said, "No, oh, I saw the lizard blink when she talked." The matron rolled her eyes and said, "Everybody go back to your duty. Lizard cannot talk." But before she could finish, we all heard a small voice say, "Mama Titi, you left soap on the floor." My brother, fear caught all of us. One nurse screamed and jumped on a chair. Patients started praying. Someone shouted, "It's a demon." I was frozen in shock, but deep down, I wanted to laugh. Because in our hospital, strange things always happen. That was how the day of Walla began, the day a talking lizard came to the hospital. After the shock, nobody wanted to walk again. The matron tried to calm everyone down, but who can walk when a lizard is giving instructions? Even Dr. Chukudi, who never believed in superstition, came out from his office to see for himself. He wore his glasses and said, "Where is this talking lizard? Let me see." Mama Titi pointed to the same spot, but the lizard was gone. Everyone started whispering. Some said it ran into the ward, others said it entered the patient's bag. Dr. Chukudi sighed. "This is nonsense. Lizards don't talk." But as he turned to go back inside, that same voice came again, "Doctor, your fly is open." My brother, the doctor, jumped like someone who sat on fire. He quickly zipped his trousers and shouted, "Who said that?" Nobody answered. The voice came again, calm and clear, "It's me, the lizard. You people are dirty in this hospital." Now even the boldest nurse started shaking. One old woman on a wheelchair began singing church songs. Another patient said, "We need to call pastor." But the doctor said, "Nobody should panic. I will find this lizard myself." He took a broom like a warrior and started searching every corner, under the chairs, behind the fridge, even inside the medicine cupboard. He didn't see anything. But as he stood up, the lizard's voice spoke again, "You won't see me if you don't clean the hospital." Everyone gasped. The cleaner dropped her mop and ran outside shouting, "Forgive me, oh, talking spirit." Me, I was just there, confused and laughing at the same time. This hospital had seen madness before, but this one was special. That day, Dr. Chukudi swore he would solve the mystery, or the hospital would never have peace. By the next morning, the hospital became like a detective center. The matron called for a staff meeting. She said, "We must find this lizard before the community hears we are treating spirits instead of patients." So, they made a plan. They brought rat gum, brooms, and even small pieces of bread to lure the lizard out. Mama Titi was crying, saying, "If that lizard talks again, I will resign." Dr. Chukudi laughed and said, "It's just a prank. Someone is hiding a small speaker." But no one could find any speaker. They decided to keep quiet and act normal while watching every corner. The hospital was silent like a graveyard. Even the generator sounded shy. Suddenly, a little boy from the children's ward shouted, "The lizard is talking to me." We all ran there. The boy was pointing to the window. The lizard was sitting there, tail moving slowly. Then it spoke again, "You children should wash your hands before eating." Everybody froze. The voice was small but wise, like that of an elder. The boy laughed and said, "The lizard is like my teacher." Dr. Chukudi looked closely and noticed something shiny near the window, a small round thing stuck behind the curtain. He pulled it out and shouted, "Aha! It's a Bluetooth speaker." We all screamed. Somebody had been playing recordings. The question now was, who did it? The matron looked at every staff one by one. "If I find out anyone here did this, and you will mop the entire hospital with toothbrush." But the real trouble was just beginning. Because that lizard wasn't done talking yet. After Dr. Chukudi found the Bluetooth speaker, everyone thought the mystery was solved. But guess what? The very next day, the voice spoke again, without the speaker. It happened early in the morning. The nurses were doing ward rounds when the voice said, "You forgot to greet the patients first." Everybody looked around in shock. The matron screamed, "Huh! The lizard is back." She almost fainted. The new cleaner threw her mop and ran outside shouting, "I didn't sign up for this, oh." Now Dr. Chukudi was confused. He checked his phone to make sure nobody was playing tricks again. But the sound came again, louder this time, "Doctor, you are using expired gloves." People began whispering that maybe it was a spirit of cleanliness sent from heaven. But one thing was sure, the hospital was now cleaner than ever. Everyone started sweeping, washing, and arranging things in order, just in case the talking lizard came to complain again. Later that afternoon, I noticed something strange. The small boy from the children's ward, Chinidu, was always smiling whenever the lizard talked. He would look at his bag and laugh quietly. So, I walked closer and asked him, "Chinidu, what's funny?" He giggled and said, "Uncle, promise you won't tell." I said, "I promise." Then he whispered, "I was the one making the lizard talk. I just wanted everyone to stop being dirty." I was shocked. "How?" I asked. He showed me a tiny toy lizard he bought from his uncle's shop. It had a button that played voice recordings he made with his brother's phone. I didn't know whether to laugh or report him. That small boy had fooled the entire hospital. Later that evening, I went to Dr. Chukudi's office and told him what I saw. At first, he didn't believe me. He said, "A small boy. Impossible." But I told him to follow me quietly. We went to the children's ward and hid behind the curtain. Chinidu was sitting on his bed, playing with his toy lizard again. He pressed a button and said in a deep voice, "Matron, you didn't wash your hands before touching the baby." We both burst into laughter. The doctor couldn't believe his eyes. "So this boy is our talking lizard," he said. When the matron entered and saw us laughing, she shouted, "What's happening here?" The doctor smiled and said, "Madam Matron, meet our little teacher." Chinidu looked down, shy. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to scare anyone. I just wanted people to keep the hospital clean. The toilets smell bad, and the nurses never smile." The matron went quiet. Everybody looked at her. Even she knew the boy was right. Then she smiled for the first time and said, "You are very smart, my boy. You taught us a lesson better than all the posters on the wall." The next day, the hospital threw a small celebration for Chinidu. They gave him free juice and biscuits, and everyone clapped for the talking lizard boy. But that wasn't the end of the story. Something even funnier happened the following week. 1 week later, just when everyone had relaxed, Mama Titi was cleaning the ward again when she screamed, "It's back. The real lizard is back." We all ran to check. There it was, a big fat lizard sitting proudly on the wall, right above the "Wash Your Hands" sign. Everybody laughed, thinking it was just a normal lizard this time. But then, the real lizard did something shocking. It pooped right on the matron's new white uniform. The whole hospital burst into laughter. Even the matron couldn't stay angry. She said, maybe this one came to remind us that dirtiness brings disgrace. Dr. Chukudi laughed until tears came out. Looks like the spirit of cleanliness sent a new messenger, he said. From that day, everyone started calling the hospital the Talking Lizard Hospital. People from other towns even came to take pictures in front of the building. The place became so popular that a TV crew visited to interview Chinedu. When they asked him how he felt, he said, "I just wanted everyone to care about sick people and make the hospital clean. That's all." The matron nodded and said, "You may be small, but your wisdom is bigger than all of us." After that day, no one ever ignored a dirty spot again. Even the real lizards seemed happy. They stayed near the windows, watching us like supervisors. Months passed, but people still talked about that day. Patients who came for treatment would say, "This is the cleanest hospital I've ever seen." And every time someone dropped litter, someone else would joke, "Better pick that before the lizard talks again." One morning, I sat outside the ward, watching the sun rise over the hospital roof. I saw Chinedu being discharged. He had fully recovered and was smiling. The matron hugged him and said, "You made us all better, not just our bodies, but our hearts." As I watched them, I thought about how a small boy taught a big lesson. Sometimes, wisdom doesn't come from the oldest or the richest. It can come from a child with a toy, a joke, or even a fake talking lizard. The hospital stayed clean, the workers became kinder, and everyone learned that caring for others starts with caring for the place you work in. Even I changed. I started picking up litter whenever I saw it. I told myself, cleanliness is not just about soap and water. It's about respect. So whenever I see a lizard now, I greet it politely, just in case it decides to talk again. And that, my friend, is the true story of the day a talking lizard came to our hospital and left us all a little wiser.